Hi everybody, in this episode I'd like to talk to you about what happened to me. The short story is that I had a vertebral artery dissection due to injury, and that caused a stroke in my cerebellum, pons, and temporal lobe. The long story is that I did squats, which is weight on your neck. And that led to about a week later of having a major stroke. For me, I had relatively strong legs for someone who does not lift weights regularly. I wanted to improve my health and testosterone level, so I decided to incorporate squats and calisthenics and strength training in addition to what I normally did, which was a morning calisthenics routine and yoga 3 times a week. The squat bar only had two 45s on each side, two 45-pound weights on each side. The total weight was 225 pounds. Some of you may think that's a lot. Some of you may realize that's not that much. I did that cold off, without any kind of warm-up or prior training, and I just lifted 225 pounds. It's pretty easy. My legs are pretty strong from doing yoga, so that was not a problem. I did feel the weight across my shoulders, but I also felt the weight across my neck. I did these squats and then had general symptoms of nausea and loss of complete balance. I threw up, and then it kind of, the symptoms went away and I just had a headache for the rest of the day. About a week later, I was too sick to go into work. I was throwing up a lot. I went to an ENT, and the ENT did the ENT maneuvers on me because I very possibly had vertigo too, but I couldn't diagnose my stroke, and neither could the ENT. The ENT did what the ENT does, and then later that evening I had the classic symptoms of my right side going completely paralyzed, and my mom witnessed that. That is something she had seen before in her parents, so she immediately called 911 and I went to the hospital at that point. About 2 or 3 hours later, after that initial short stroke, they used to call it a TIA, I recovered fully. I could speak clearly, I could move my hands, everything was fine. So they just wanted to keep me in the hospital at that point for observation. They probably did see at that point on the CAT scan that there was some kind of damage to the vertebral artery, and they put me on heparin, and everything was fine. The next day, following lunch, I had some chicken. I could eat it normally. And I told my wife that I didn't feel good, and I immediately laid down and had a clonic seizure, and they rushed me down to the catheter lab. At that point, the estimated downtime or loss of blood flow was about 20-some minutes. My wife and mom were there, and the doctors approached them and said, there's a 90% chance that he will not live, and then within that 10% chance, there's a 90% chance that he'll be a vegetable. If it was me, I probably would have said, stop intervention, let's just let it go. However, my mom and wife said, no, let's try to save him. So they did an angiocath type of procedure, angiogram type procedure, and they snaked this catheter up into my vertebral artery. With TPA, they shot the clot, and that probably caused a cascade effect, an explosion, where it caused, little chunks of the blood clot to go further upstream and cause little mini strokes in various parts of the brain, the cerebellum, brainstem, and temporal lobe. I was away from my family for about 4 hours, and then they brought me out on a ventilator and unconscious into the critical care unit. And I really was not active for several hours, but then eventually people were talking to me and I could hear them. I couldn't speak because I had a airway device in my throat. Also a ventilator with the hose, air hose coming out of it. And I spoke by squeezing people's hands. When they said something to me, I would squeeze their hand, and that way they knew I was conscious and functional. That's basically it. It changed my life totally. I used to be a pharmacist, or I still am a pharmacist, but I was no longer able to work. I went on full disability. After about 11 days in the ICU, I was transferred to an inpatient rehab in South Florida, and I spent about 4 weeks there. The previous videos of me with like an orange shirt or scrub pants or something, or trying to walk, that was primarily in the inpatient rehab clinic in Broward County, Florida. I don't think about this much. I don't talk about it much because it's not helpful to me now. It really only makes me wonder if something could have been different. I did this to myself, and that's very upsetting. And to dwell on it doesn't really put me towards my goals. One other thing is that the interventional radiologist said to my brother, at this time I was convalescing in the ICU, he said to my brother he had a vertebral artery dissection, but there was some prior damage in the artery there. And there may be a genetic component to why this happened, why my vertebral artery dissected, which means the inner layers of it ripped loose. There was some prior damage. The radiologist said that a squat itself wouldn't necessarily do this. One thing I want to add to that is that when I have injuries or kick a soccer ball or bump into something, and if I hit a vein, that vein becomes inflamed and swollen. I don't know if that's some kind of injury reaction or something special about me. I don't focus on it too much because, again, it's not helpful to me now. The people that may need to know this, which is a tiny fraction of stroke survivors, they're not listening to me now anyway. And they're basically would say, I'm going to do squats, and I've done squats for years, and I'm fine, and it's all fine. And that's true. They're right. Like less than a percentage of stroke survivors have what I had due to squats. So it's a very small amount. That event changed my life completely. It changed my marriage completely. It changed my relationship with my family. And basically now I am on disability. I would like to return to work. It's a matter of using my hand again so I can type and write and do things at a high level of proficiency without error. That's what pharmacists can do. I think cognitively I'm all there, even though I speak somewhat inarticulately. Cognitive is, I think, there, but of course probably should ask someone besides me. But my hand really needs to operate with high dexterity, and I need to type with both hands and speak and use the phone and use a lot of equipment and handle product in a very fast and efficient manner. That's all I got, folks. Thanks so much. Take care. One thing about this video is that during this past week I've been extremely fatigued and tired, where I will take unintentional naps in the afternoon, and that snowballs into a night where I might get 4 hours of sleep or so, and then the process continues the next day where I'm tired from not sleeping, and it goes on and on and on. Also, my key fob to my car disintegrated, so I'm working on ordering a new one of those. I'm just going to replace the outer shell because the inner button part still works. Also, I lost my cell phone while attempting to go shopping, and I've been in the process of replacing that and not having a cell phone. This one was my replacement cell phone from the last time I lost my phone, and now is just a Wi-Fi tablet type device.